But here we are coming to the civic election. Calgary, there's going to be a big changeover in the mayor and council and that. I think it's a chance for Calgarians to really open that door for further dialogue. In Calgary, the last census I ever saw of Calgary, there's about 82,000 people that self-identified as First Nations. That's a big voting population. So how do you reach out? How do both sides reach out to each other?
Right.
We have to make wolf there, because we're just not there yet. Everything is based on ignorance and prejudice and racism. We need to talk about that. So whoever is the next council and the next mayor, I think that's a really important thing, because it's going to help Calgary and grow its economy.
Yes.
Tsuut'ina is right at the very front of that, because we have Taza developments.
Yes.
And there's a real opportunity to have a collaboration that goes on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it too, not just with First Nations bands that are close by within our area, but even our local municipalities, such as Rocky View County, Foothills County, even are getting a better relationship with our provincial and federal partners there, and they are our partners. Tsuut'ina's our partners, as well as Foothills and Rocky View County. And I've heard stories from other councillors, within other municipalities, saying Calgary will walk in like a big bad wolf and say, well, we're Calgary, we're strong, and whatever you guys want to do, you're just a little one. But they don't realize that we're all part of the Pt.5, again, going back to that, but we all should need to work together, because we can pool our money together, which creates a better tax base for all and jobs for everyone.
When I was the city chief, I had the federal conservative MPs come and visit me. And when I said the same thing, they just, what? Oh, okay, go there,
Yes.
I said, what do you want to know? You're on my land. You're sitting right in my office on my land. And I'm telling you, this is our sovereign nation. And they said, yeah, but they always put that but in there, And it was the same with the city of Calgary. City of Calgary, the council and the mayor at that time, they came out too. I had a dinner for them. I brought all my council there. We all sat together and we shared. It says, we got to start building bridges here. Because it's going to come to the benefit of both sides.
Exactly.
Economics is really important. We're in this economic slump. We need to kind of start pulling our minds together to see where we're going to take this whole area, not just Calgary, but Tsuut'ina as well.
Right.
It says, if you don't do that, I'm going to take all your businesses from downtown Calgary, put them out here.
Of course.
Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. And that's exactly what the municipalities have been saying, the same thing as well as I've been doing more and more research. We need to start working together. We can pool our taxes together. We can get jobs done, like more projects done that we need, and start utilizing both sides, because for example, they give us $100,000 to build a little store that's kind of both on border lines or getting water to them or something. We as Calgarians benefit too from that tax pool, and we only spent $50,000 instead of the full 100. And one day, Calgary might expand its borders or its city limits into part of that Rocky View County or Foothills County area.
They won't come onto our county.
No, they can't, but at least,
they've tried.
Yes, they've have.
Tried.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember those days as well growing up.
Yeah.
But yes, and that's kind of part of the thing. You don't know. Like Shepherd used to be part on its own.
Yep.
It's its own little village.
Yep.
And now it's part of Calgary. And I believe this year or next year, or near future anyway, they're going to finally get water and sewer up that way.
Yeah.
They just this May got a garbage pickup. So when they've been part of Calgary now for at least 10 years or more.
Okotoks will be part of that too.
Yes, and Airdrie
I
could be.
think Airdrie might be a little bit longer, but I think Okotoks is, I've seen the development plans years ago. I think Okotoks is closer to realizing that than Airdrie right now.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where we need to start being, like, pooling our resources.
Yeah.
And having our doors and communication lines open. Yeah. And listening to both sides.
You get that LRT going out to Okotoks, you open a whole revenue stream right there. because now people that commute, can live in Okoto's commute and works to the benefit of
Yes.
Calgary.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to see Calgary get too big either.
No, it's actually a nice, comfortable city. You know, I remember growing up and it was half this size, but, you know, it's a nice, comfortable city and it's home. It's my home.
I remember it was about 400,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of people then.
Yes, it seemed like it anyway. Downtown was very busy. That was our heart and soul, which now it's not as busy as it used to be.
So how did you get into politics, and like what was that spark for you?
I come from a line of hereditary chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a chief, my father was a chief, and then I became chief. So there's a hereditary line there.
It's kind of a generational thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd become chief.
Mm-hmm.
That was not really an ambition of mine, but I was guided to it. Before the last election, before I became chief, the elders came up to me from the nation, and they says, you know, Lee, it's time for you to step in. We need to have that war chief step in. So I put my name forward at that time, because at that time I said, no, I guess I'm going to have to be a leader other ways. Because I had political ambitions at that time too, but nothing ever worked until that time.
Right.
So when the elders came out and says, we need to have a war chief in here. Because there's a distinction between a camp chief and a war chief. That's a whole other
Topic. Yeah.
So it became that, and I embraced it. And it was 24/7. I loved every day of it. Every morning I'd say, what can I do today?
Mm-hmm.
I loved it that much.
So you've been like always been into politics since you
No,
were
no. I was only in politics for 3 years.
Ah.
But I did lots of other prep work leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Having a lot of education, a lot of lived experiences that kept me on the land.
Right.
Even though I traveled around the world for a couple of years.
What did you? Where did you travel to? Like.
I started off just traveling outside the city. Then Eastern Canada, throughout the U.S. and went to New Zealand where I met she's my ex-wife now, but I met her at that time, and then Australia, and then Singapore, and then I went to India, Israel, Germany, Switzerland, France, and that's basically the
Lots of places. Yeah. Like, were they like job related, or was it just
no?
like?
I was just out of high school. I think I wanted to
travel.
Travel.
Oh, okay.
So, wherever my ticket took me, that's where I went.
Wow. Like, how long was that? Like traveling for like many years? Year and a half.
Yeah.
Nice.
All on my own.
Wow. Man.
Sometimes I sleep out in the open and.
In the open, just like outside.
Yeah, well, I had no money for a hotel or anything.
Under the stars.
Yeah.
Under the stars, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's awesome.
But I was always taken care of. Met
That's
some
good.
interesting people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that was just my experiences. To become chief, he asked me about that. It was always the passion to help in whatever way I can, because that's how I was raised.
Right.
My relatives always says, Lee, you have to look after the people. This is your role.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed it was politics at that time, but it wasn't. It was just all these other things to take care of the community, find that voice. So when I stepped into as leader of the nation, that I knew what I was doing, and I created policies that would help distinguish success in business and politics. But it was a big jump for my community to accept all of them. Mm-hmm. I said, but this is what we have to do. And so for 3 years, I had to manage fiscally our budgets. So it was a lot of big cuts.
Right.
Because it was the budget we had was not sustainable.
No.
So it says, no, we have to cut out this millions of dollars this year. So financial restraint was pretty important. Mm-hmm. My community didn't really like that.
No, it must have been hard for you to make the decision, where.
Well, it wasn't hard for me to make those decisions.
No.
It was just you have to have thick skin.
Yeah, right.
Because you have to think about the future. Any politician should think about the future.
Mm-hmm. No,
but have compassion when people have an opinion. you listen to that.
Mhm.
You know, just because you think it's the best idea doesn't mean it is the best idea. The best idea comes from listening to what the people say. You cannot disconnect yourself from your community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my campaign too. Our voices about within our community need to be heard. I don't think we've been heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have our own little sense of things going on down in this area that it's not part of, you know, that's going on maybe in the Northwest or in the other parts
Right.
of Calgary, but as counselor, I'm not mayor, running for mayor, and that's a bigger job, but
Mhm.
running for counselor, we have to work for all Calgarians at the same point, not just for our community, but my first and foremost will be for our community, for Ward 12.